Welcome to the No Horsing Around Tailgate podcast. Guys, back at it again. Just wanted to talk about the second preseason game, Colts versus Lions. And there's not going to be a lot of storylines as far as the star power and those players going out there, but there is going to be things that I'm looking out for, and I'm interested to know what you're looking at. Probably the first thing that I'm going to really keep an eye on is this wide receiver room. Some big opportunities for guys like Michael Strachan. Ashton Dulin has an opportunity to kind of separate himself. Just some of the younger guys to come out and stand out and show that they can play the game, especially in that tight end room. You've got a spot now with Drew Ogletree going down where insert, your fourth option at tight end. Also, we want to make sure two things when it comes to the wide receiver that I'm looking for. Number one, are you able to get separation? B, are you able to hold on to that football? Squeeze that football and bring it down, because it does you no good to get that separation if you can't actually pull it down. Second thing I'm going to be looking at is these quarterback situation. I want to see Nick Foles. I want to see him be a little bit better this week. I think he needs to definitely start having this uptick as far as if he's going to be our backup for the next 2 years, which it seems like he is. Then we definitely need to see Nick Foles, be a representative football player when it matters, as well as Sam Ehlinger. This guy is fighting for his life for a spot. He's looked good. But you got to do it week in and week out. You got to do it every single time. You've got to show that ability. And he's looked good in his moments that he's had in preseason. Hopefully he can stay healthy. Next thing I want to see is the offensive line group, right? Just as a whole. They need to block better. Pass block, run block, they just need to have a little bit more of a presence. They need to come out and assert themselves from the jump. And just in general, on the offensive side, as we're talking about that cadence needs to be better. We need to be able to get into a rhythm and actually, get a few first downs and a really nice drive going. I want to see those kickers get opportunities. I know Frank Reich is so big on, going for it, being aggressive, especially in the preseason. I want to see Blankenship take some longer field goals throughout this preseason process, because we really want to know where he's at, because he's never really had a problem when it comes to those intermediate 30, 40, 45-yard field goals. We start questioning it when it gets up around 50 or a little bit over. I'd like to see him have an opportunity to kick a couple field goals that are 50 yards or further, just to see where that leg's at, just to see what we got in season, what we can count on moving forward. It looks like he's going to probably win that job. But that being said, you got to know what you got, in crunch time and game time situations. Then going on the defensive side, Nick Cross, I don't know how much he'll play today, but he always seems to show up and make plays. EJ Speed might be another guy that I would highlight. How is he going to fit into this role? We don't know how long that Shaq Leonard's not going to be available. So that being said, we need someone to step up and play a little bit of that role. I think EJ Speed has a little bit of that hybrid role, because he plays a physical downhill style of football as well as having, the ability to kind of go sideline to sideline. I circle back, and I've said it on a podcast previously. I always remember that Christmas game against Arizona. He was so good in that game. And he proved to me that he can play in the NFL in that game. And I think that if he can build on some of that momentum, this opportunity, there's going to be a bigger opportunity down the road for EJ Speed to maybe carve out a bigger role and possibly a starting capacity on this football team, or at least a package that he's involved with a little bit more. I like his ability to be rangy, hit. I like his ability to take away the football. I think he could punch the ball out as well. You can't be a linebacker on this team and not know how to punch that ball out, man. I mean, if you play with Shaq Leonard as your leader, he's teaching you how to get that ball out every single time. Get the ball back for the offense so we can start rolling as well. Colin Granson will be a player to kind of come on back to the offensive side. He's got to catch the football. He's got to do it every single week. You can't just do it one play or one game. You got to start stringing things together. Jelani Woods, he has an opportunity. He hasn't had the greatest camp, but things are starting to get a little bit better for him. Things are starting to click up here, right? Now we need to know, can Jelani Woods come out and be that third-round pick that we expected him to be? Such a fluid guy for his size. That size and speed is such a blend that we have. And then who's going to stand out? Who's going to make it really, really hard for Chris Ballard and Frank Reich when it's time to cut this football team down to 53? And they're going to say, man, he's just got to be a part of this team, right? Like we have to make this guy a part of our team. Not so sure about the injuries up until this point. Don't think you're going to see an Isaiah Rodgers out there, and that kind of bums me out a little bit. Want to see Faison. Want to see if he even gets any run today. I'd like to see him get a couple series. I'm not sure on him yet. I think he looks steady. He looks pretty consistent, but I'm not so sure. I'd like to see a little bit out of him today. In that backup cornerback room, safeties, DBs. Want to see those guys play. Want to see if those guys, if there's any person that can step up and can kind of be, a core special teamer, because that's what you're fighting for. If you're playing in the second, third, and fourth quarter of this game, you're fighting for your NFL life. You're fighting for an opportunity to come out here and do this for a living, which is, everyone's dream when it comes right down to it. Other than that, guys, I think it's just going to be a fun game to watch. For me, I'm a nerd. I like watching those backups. I like watching, oh my gosh, like you can see it. You can see what Chris Ballard, and the scouting staff saw in this guy, and seeing it all come to life and seeing their dreams come true. It won't be a flashy game, but definitely want to go through there and see wide receiver group. I want to see that O-line and that depth. Can they block better? Pass block and run block both. Be a little more assertive. Can the tight ends and wide receivers hold on to the football? Do these DBs, does someone start separating themselves and saying, okay, I'm coming today to make this football team? Also want to see it in EJ Speed as well come out and do his thing, like we have mentioned earlier in this podcast. But most importantly, just wanted to say thank you for connecting with us, guys. You guys have been amazing. You've gotten us so much more exposure here recently. We've got some real exciting, partnerships coming up that we want you all to be a part of. And I want everybody on this show to know that their voice matters. We try our very best to comment and just stay interacting, because this is the podcast. This is the voice of the actual people. This is your podcast. We're just lucky enough, Stephen and I, to get to represent you and get to represent the shoe. So if you haven't already joined the family, tap that subscribe button. Also hit alerts so you can see all of our live streams and our most up-to-date relevant stuff that comes out. Until next time, this has been the No Horsing Around podcast. I'm No Horsing, you are No Horsing, and together we are all the No Horsing Around family. Go Colts.